Willie D Live.
What's up, family? If you plan on traveling anytime soon, you might want to take some extra clothes and carve out some extra time just in case. I don't want to jinx you, but those lines are extremely long. There's been a lot of chatter in these airport streets lately, and that is because they are backed all the way out the door and down the street around the building. Serious, fam. I've even seen lines that were backed all the way up to the next floor. Yeah, or down to the next floor, depending on which direction they want to send you in. So obviously, there's a lot of discomfort here. There's a lot of finger pointing, as always, in these political streets. You have Donald Trump, who allegedly sent in ICE. That's his solution to the problem. Send in ICE, of all people, to help TSA agents process Americans and other people that's traveling. Just gonna bring in ICE instead of paying the TSA workers, which owe them. You'd rather bring ICE in. Make it make sense. Oh, you want to bring ICE in because ICE already been paid. See, they already got the money allocated for ICE, but they have not had money allocated for TSA. But they say that TSA are their brothers. Anyway, fam, Hakeem Jeffries was asked about this on CNN, what his position was and what he thought about the rhetoric that Trump was spewing about calling the Democrats the enemy. And here's what he had to say on CNN.
On Truth Social this morning, he said, now with the death of Iran, the greatest enemy America has is the radical left, highly incompetent Democratic Party. Your response?
Donald Trump should keep his reckless mouth shut before he gets somebody killed.
Well, Donald Trump technically have already gotten thousands of people killed. And that's just in the United States, because there's a lot of racial tension, a lot of hatred in America, a lot of division. And Donald Trump, many people point as the catalyst for all of that hate. And I don't see it slowing down. The former leader of the FBI died a few days ago, and Trump said, I'm glad he's dead. I'm glad he's dead. He hurt a lot of innocent people. Wow. Did I mention he was the president of the United States? Yeah, president of the United States. I mentioned it. Yeah, okay, I mentioned it. Anyway, fam, so Hakeem Jeffries has the Republicans on their heels. They are hot at him, man. They do not like that guy. He is public enemy number one. They are very concerned about him. So much so, they spent a lot of time talking about him on Fox News. Fox News recently had the border czar, Tom Homan, on there, and then they had the former DHS leader on there. He's on there talking really reckless. And they are going in on the Democrats. But I want you to listen to what they're saying, and you tell me, does this lead credence to the adage, every accusation is a confession?
Long lines are causing headaches at airports across the country, and the president is hoping that ICE deployments will help ease the chaos. Border Czar Tom Homan says agents are ready to step in.
The president's made it clear. He's not going to let America be held hostage anymore. We're going to try to move those lines quicker, give TSA support. They're our brothers and sisters on the DHS. And we simply need to get these officers paid. But until then, the president came up with a great idea. Let's send additional resources to the airports.
Let's bring in Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director and former DHS deputy assistant secretary. kind of ironic, it seems to me, Jonathan. Democrats are holding funding back from TSA because they're angry at the president over past actions of ICE. But ICE is funded, so now they're taking it out on the poor TSA agents, right?
Exactly. That is the irony here that I think is important for the people to know. ICE is being funded fully. These agents are getting paid, and the Democrats are punishing other people that have nothing to do with this issue with ICE whatsoever. So it really is ironic. But I do think, Tom Homan made the point, it is a good move because the current situation cannot stand, because not only we have the 3-hour delays in some places, and we have an economic burden coming to, I think, a lot of, airlines and other types of things. But the most important thing, particularly with what's going on with Iran right now, is we need to have strong security at our airports. And one of the most important things with security is the impression that we are on top of our game and that there are no weaknesses. So adding more law enforcement to the airports during this time will reduce not only the chaos, but also increase our national security. So I think it's a good move. Ultimately, this has to get resolved, but I don't think the president is going to be pushed into a corner by the Democrats, and a lot of their demands really amount to trying to prevent ICE from deporting people.
Yeah, we know that when millions of people just kind of walked into the country under the Biden administration, there are among them people who came from countries like Iran that don't like us very much. And certainly, if the Iranians perceive this to be a time of TSA weakness, they might try to, sneak through and do something, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And remember why we're going through all of these lines. A lot of us remember flying before 9/11, and that was we learned that there was a vulnerability that our adversaries, our enemies, saw the vulnerability, took advantage of it, and 3,000 people died. So, yeah, it's very important to show that we're strong, we're on top of our game, and we're not going to let politics put our national security, our public safety at risk. And that's what President Trump is doing here. And then the additional benefit will be alleviate the lines, because we don't want to essentially shut down our economy, prevent people from flying, because this is a major deterrence to this inconvenience. But again, the most important thing is public safety. And we had this murder in Chicago last week by an illegal alien, which just shows how important ICE's core mission of deporting illegal aliens, particularly criminals, is to overall public safety.
We can stop right there, at least for the moment, fam. This whole idea that the Democrats are solely responsible for holding funding for TSA agents, that is disingenuous. It is misleading. This issue is a result of a dispute over funding the entire DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So it's not specifically, we're going to stop. We don't want to fund TSA. No, TSA happens to fall under the umbrella of the larger funding package that the Democrats do not agree with. There are a lot of immigration departments that needs to be funded. And the Democrats are saying, we're okay with funding those departments. We just don't want ICE to get any of this money. That's the biggest thing. But these guys are gaslighting because they're trying, once again, to pull the wool over the American people's eyes. And they know that most people ain't going to dig deeper to find out what the real issue is. All they're going to hear is, you're trying to stop these hardworking people who we need, these essential workers that we need so that we can travel. And you're trying to stop them from getting paid. Shame on you. It's almost like they did with defunding the police, the way that they ran their messaging for defunding the police, which, once again, I'm not hearing enough Democrats scream that, they lying. This is what they're doing. They're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. That is not the truth. It's not enough of that being said. There's people out there saying it, but they're not saying it loud enough so that people understand that, okay, it's bigger than what they're saying it is. when they started talking about defunding the police, the Republicans were on message. Their messaging was really good. Immediately they went out there and said, hey, they're talking about defunding the police. That means take the money away from the police. You're going to take the money away from the police? We ain't going to have no police officers. Police officers, these are our great men and women that keep us safe and secure, even though none of us are guaranteed to be safe or secure. But they say, the whole idea is to make us think we're secure, and then we get killed, and then we know we wasn't secure. Or somebody break into our home, and we know that the police ain't had nothing to do about it, and they couldn't do nothing about it. They showed up after it was over. But that's how it goes. But anyway, the whole idea is to make us think that ain't no way we can live or breathe in a free society without police officers. When this country did pretty good without police officers for a long time, right? They were communities pretty much self-governed themselves. In any event, I'm not saying that you get rid of police officers altogether, because you do need, I do believe, to have police officers, but police officers who are not on the take, police officers who are not policing for profit. We're trying to get rid of police officers who are policing for profit. We're trying to get rid of police officers who go out and take a call for a mentally disturbed person, and that person end up dead because that person mind don't think like a regular person who would automatically comply when the police say comply. So we're saying, let's take some of those funds and redirect those funds and give those funds to social services, such as departments and agencies that hire people who have professional skills in talking a person who has a mental problem off the ledge. Being able to handle that person with kids' gloves as opposed to billy clubs and guns and aggression from being on that coke some of these police officers on. Some of that coke and some of that dope and some of that alcohol and pills that they be on, right? Pills that they be popping. So it's also for, let's redirect some of those funds to programs that cater to anti-abuse, domestic abuse. Let's invest more into our communities in terms of after-school programs. Let's make sure that our young people are educated. And so that when they go out into the world, they stand a better chance of being able to take care of themselves and their family. Let's put some money into these drug programs and get more drug counselors so that we can get more help for people. If we take care of these issues, these social issues that we have, we won't have so much violence, so much aggression, so much loss, so much strain on our economy. We won't have so many issues even with healthcare. If we put more money into programs, into preventative programs, but they don't want to hear that. All people heard was defund the police. Oh, hell, they got to go. And that was not enough outcry, or at least not enough rebuttal to offset what they were saying. They were just sitting back, letting them talk. And so, once again, this is the same play. Yo, if they don't give us what we want, we'll just blame them for any problems that happen. He talked about an undocumented person killing somebody. And that's why we need to make sure we have these Border Patrol people at the borders so we can catch those guys. Well, how many Americans killed somebody today? See, they'll pick one case. This is what they used to do to black people way back in the day. They find a case with one black person, and that's if the person actually killed somebody for real. But one black person killed somebody, and they say, this is why we got to treat them this way. This is why we got to be harsh against them. This is why we got to redline them and keep them out of our neighborhoods, because they're dangerous. They're dangerous. So they take one instance, blow it out of proportion, and they use that one person as an example of who all of the people in that community are from that particular ethnic group is. That's what they do. But they don't do it when it comes to them. They never do it when it comes to them. When it's them, it's always a lone wolf. It's always they acted alone, right? They acted alone, you know? And, oh, he had some mental problems. Oh, daddy used to beat his mama. Oh, daddy beat him up. Oh, mama played with him when he was little. They got every kind of excuse in the book. So this is gaslighting. Once again, this is gaslighting 101, which is something that they do very, very well. But if you are a critical thinker, then you know what time it is, and you ain't really got to be a critical thinker. All you got to do is just keep your eyes open and listen to how they move. If you listen to how they move, you'll get it. You'll catch it. You'll catch it 100% of the time.
So the American people are putting up with these horrific lines at airports, missing flights and so forth. Even airlines are cutting back on their flights because, you know, they know that the people just aren't going to make it on board. The transportation secretary is saying this is all because one side of the aisle is playing politics. Listen.
It's leverage.
So that's it, fam. So he says one side of the aisle is playing politics. Again, listen to the gaslighting. All of them are politicians. To say that one side of the aisle is playing politics means to me that the other side ain't doing their job. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.